Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. I just spent time with Constance, and I want to share how it felt, what it is, and why I think this might be one of the more interesting indie games you haven't heard enough about. At the very start, you might glance at screenshots and think, okay, pretty art, Metroidvania style, indie platformer. And yes, that's true, but once you dive in, you realize there's more beneath the surface. The game almost invites you into a quiet, introspective space, but then surprises you with depth and challenge. Right when I started, the art direction struck me. The world is hand-drawn, very expressive. Pastel hues, soft lighting, brushstroke effects in the background, elegant animations, and character designs that feel like they've been sketched with intention. You're playing a protagonist who wields a paintbrush in a world that is decaying, fragmenting, filled with memories, shadows, and hidden corners. It's beautiful and slightly unsettling at the same time. The dev's description talks about a decaying inner world created by mental collapse, and when you play it, you feel that weight. The ambiance isn't loud, it's subtle but powerful. A hallway with flickering lights, a sudden echo, a painting on the wall that seems to shift. You begin to sense that the world itself is a character. Gameplay-wise, it's part Metroidvania, part exploration, part thoughtful action. You get the classic feel of interconnected zones, branching paths, hidden areas, secrets to discover. But then you also get mechanics that bend expectations. The paintbrush weapon isn't just for show, it's integrated into movement and combat in interesting ways. I found myself using the terrain as a canvas, converting walls into surfaces, bouncing off paint pools, sliding down brushstrokes. That gives the platforming a twist. The combat is tight. You feel the weight of your attacks, the stamina, the momentum. Boss fights? Whew, they're real. Pattern learning, timing, damage control. This isn't forgiving in the sense you'll breeze through. I died a few times early on, not because the game unfairly punished me, but because I underestimated its rhythm. And the sense of victory when you overcome a tough fight is genuinely satisfying. The world design is striking. You'll move from rooms that feel calm, meditative, to spaces that twist and warp, where the architecture morphs, colors shift, and the game almost plays with your perception. It's not just aesthetic, it's thematic. The player is exploring someone's inner self, memories, regrets, creativity, all wrapped in platforming and combat. The dev explained that the game thematically touches on burnout, work-life balance, the artist's struggle. And it shows. When you pick up a memory fragment, or when you trigger a flashback, the world briefly becomes something else. You're no longer walking through stone ruins, but through an emotional landscape. It's quite clever. Now, in terms of visuals and performance, despite the hand-drawn look, the animation is fluid, transitions are smooth, the environment is rich. In one scene, I climbed onto a ledge with a sunset behind me. The wind pushed petals across the scene. Soft shadows played across the rocks. It stopped me for a second. The map UI has a little bit of learning curve. Some reviews pointed that out, but it works. Some areas are more detailed than others, and you'll notice that some backtracking is required. That comes with the genre, but the game handles it well, and honestly, it made me enjoy going back to earlier areas once I had new abilities. One thing to clarify, this is a single-player experience. There is no co-op mode listed, and the game is designed as a personal journey. I watched how others described it, and it fits. You're alone, you're exploring your own path, you're uncovering secrets at your own pace. For some players, that's perfect. For others who want multiplayer or shared experiences, maybe less so. But the solo design means the world's quiet moments have weight. I found myself sitting back after a segment, thinking about what just happened, rather than immediately jumping into another mission. Story and narrative lean in an unusual direction. You're not bombarded with exposition. Instead, you piece things together. Notes, environment, flashbacks, symbolic bits. There's this beautiful moment where the world seems stable and then cracks, and you realize the cracks are meaningful. They represent something inside the character. And because the protagonist is voiceless, you reflect your own emotions into the game. Some might find that lacking voice acting, but I found it allowed the world and the visuals to speak louder. The game invites introspection rather than shouting plot details at you. Mechanics offer depth. As you progress, you unlock new paint-based abilities, traversal upgrades, maybe new weapons or stances. The exploration loop is satisfying because when you return to earlier sections with new tools, things open up. That sense of, oh, now I can go there, is strong. And the bosses? Well, they stand out. Reviews said they were well-designed, memorable, and surprisingly challenging. I felt that too. There's weight in every encounter. The game doesn't always hold your hand. Some parts demand you stop, learn, adapt. The sound design also deserves mention. Quiet, ambient tracks, minimalistic but effective melodies, and when things get intense, the soundtrack shifts subtly. One moment you're walking through a calm corridor, the next the score layers in, your heartbeat hurries, and you know something's coming. The brush strokes in combat, the swoosh of paint, the impact of your strikes, it all ties together to build immersion. I found myself turning down the lights, leaning forward just to take it in. Of course, no game is without flaws. Sometimes I found the backtracking a bit long or the map needed more clarity. A few reviews mentioned UI and map navigation as minor irritations. Also, if you're the type who likes full direction, arrows pointing everywhere, quest markers lighting the way, this game isn't built for that. It wants you to explore, to wonder, to get lost a little. That can be a delight or a frustration depending on your mood. Performance-wise, I didn't hit major issues, but early builds might have some minor bugs and rare clipping. Nothing I found game-breaking, but worth noting. By the time I reached the in-game moments, I realized Constance left a mark. Not because it flipped the Metroidvania genre on its head, but because it managed to build something that balances accessibility with challenge, atmosphere with gameplay, beauty with bite. It respects your time. You can complete it without dragging on, yet if you want completion or speed runs, you have ground to cover. It gives you that just one more area feeling. It gave me nights where I told myself, just one more room, and then I was still playing an hour later. So if I were to sum up how I feel, Constance is an indie gem. It's for players who want more than just kill monsters and loot gear. It's for players who want to explore a world, live an emotion, learn a story through movement and visuals, not just through cutscenes. It's for those who appreciate art, atmosphere, tight mechanics, and a meaningful journey. If you're in that mindset, I really think you'll find something special here. Thank you so much for joining me through this walkthrough of my thoughts. I hope this gave you some insight into Constance and why I think it stands out. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.